What's the adjustment been like to the new defense?
Yeah, it's been good. I feel like a lot of that time during OTAs, phase 1 and phase 2, getting into the playbook, because it is different. A lot of the defenses are similar over the NFL, but it's just like the terminology, the verbiage is different. So that's kind of been the biggest thing for us, just kind of getting used to that, be able to play fast.
What have been your impressions of AG so far?
Cool. Yeah, no, he's like, how you see him is literally how he is every day, which is, I think, like the coolest thing. Like, just that super intense, like all about ball, just competitive guy. That from knowing him from afar, just as like a coach in the NFL, that's how I always saw him as. But you never know if that's how they are, walking up and down the building. But that's just how he is. So I think that's really cool, and I'm excited for sure.
What about your defensive coordinator, Steve Wilkes? Just how has
Yeah.
he been getting to know him?
Yeah, no. So I played for Coach Wilkes in San Francisco for a year, so kind of already had a relationship with him before he got here. But Coach Wilkes, he's just a super smart coach. Like, just been around the game for a long time, knows the ins and outs of everything that could possibly happen on the defense side of the ball. So really just trying to just pick his brain, ask him as many questions as I can, just to help understand this defense even more so, just because it is different than when I played for him in San Francisco. It's not the same defense. So, but he's a real cool guy, just really relatable, can talk to him easy, yeah.
Obviously, the Jets have finished in the top 5 defensively the last 3 years. Just what do you feel like the next steps for this defensive unit is?
Yeah, I mean, our goals for ourselves is just to be dominant, to just be that defense every snap, every game, and not have, kind of like a roller coaster type, not have ups and downs, but really just go out there and be solidified as the best defense in the league.
How do you go about, Isaiah? We saw last year you played, I don't know how many different positions you ended up playing. How do you go about that in training camp in terms of like cross-training, different positions and, how you master each different one?
Right. It's really more mental during training camp, I feel like, just because you only have so much time to actually play the different positions. So, like, I'm really focusing on safety for now, but also, keeping myself sharp at the nickel or at the corner, on the mental side, like knowing what it is that they have to do in this or this play and that play, but not necessarily getting as many reps at those positions, for sure.
Because AG played DB for so many years in the league,
Yeah.
do you find him gravitating more towards your group and like giving like extra personal tutoring?
Not really. He's been everywhere. Just like when we're out there on the field, he'll be with us. He'll be the linebackers, the D line, offensive side of the ball. So he's definitely been everywhere. But we also know that obviously he's well versed as a defensive back in the NFL. So like we know that if there are anything that we have questions about, whether it be about the scheme or just about playing the position at a high level, he's obviously a guy you want to talk to for sure.
You mentioned the defensive roller coaster ride it was last year.
Right.
Just how do you go about preventing that from happening this year?
I think it's honing in on the details and being consistent. We know the talent that we have and we know what we're capable of. But the thing about the NFL is you got to do it every week. Otherwise, you're just saying it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just talk at that point. So that's like what we're really, really focused on, and something that we've talked about just as players, and the leaders of our defense have really stressed to us about being at that level every day. And that starts at practice. If we're going to be the best defense during the season, we got to be the best defense today. And so it's really just chasing that standard, chasing that goal all year.
What's it like having a staff that has so many coaches that play defensive back in the NFL? You got AG, obviously, Chris Harris and Dre Bly and Chris Banjo. It's got to be pretty cool for you guys.
No, for sure. Obviously, just the wealth of knowledge that they all have. And not only that, but just the experience. Like, they've been in all the positions that we could be in. You know what I mean? There's nothing that they haven't not only seen, but probably done that could happen to us. So it's like, it's easy just to go to them and talk to them about it because they can just reflect on times where they did the exact same thing or made the same mistake and how they corrected it and things like that. So
that cross-training, it obviously is important in terms of like emergency purposes, but
Right.
For you at your position, how does like knowing those other positions help your knowledge or you play your position better?
Yeah, no, definitely. Just understanding, like, within a play who has a harder down than another guy, or like what's the weakness of this defense, or who's got the most difficult play to make, and just understanding that, and then being able to, play to that a little bit as a safety or as a nickel or whatever it may be. So yeah, just understanding the defense as a whole makes everything easier for sure.
There was so much attention on the Jets the last couple of years with a lot of big name acquisitions, most notably Rodgers. What's the vibe this year? Does it seem different? Is it quieter? Or how would you describe it compared to last year?
I know for me, just coming in like new last year, obviously there's a lot more like media attention, it felt like, for me just coming as a player. But other than that, I mean, it doesn't feel any different out there on the field. I mean, we just still got the same goals, locked in, just ready to get after training camp for sure.
What's the scheme like with, you have Steve Wilkes, I don't know if Steve Wilkes and Aaron ever worked together. I know they were friendly, but so Steve Wilkes had his scheme,
Right.
Aaron Glenn had his scheme in Detroit. How did they meld them together?
Yeah, well, like those two guys, like they see the game very similarly already. Although their schemes may have been different at different spots, they see the way defensive football is played through the same lens, if you will. So like a lot of the stuff they already kind of had the same ideas on. Really, just the only thing that they had to come together and work together with was probably just like what to call stuff. But what we're actually doing out there on the field, they kind of saw it the same way. And he's talked about that with us, just like in defensive unit meetings. Like, so we could see stuff that the Lions may have did, but like he had already been coaching it that way. So it's like, it was really an easy transition for sure.
Did you study Branch from Detroit at all? Because
For
he's
sure.
kind of similar position,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah.
What did you take from watching him?
I mean, he's a hell of a player, and like you said, just the versatility that he has is something that has, really like popped off the tape from his rookie year. He's essentially all-pro safety as well as all-pro corner level. I mean, nickel level. You know what I mean? So, definitely watching his tape and just kind of seeing how he plays the game, especially within this system, and how he was used in Detroit, just to try to take anything I can for sure.
Hello.
Jamie, what are you hoping to get out of training camp? What are your goals?
For myself?
Yeah.
Again, like mentioned before, just being a better leader, becoming a better leader as well, just bringing guys up the totem pole with myself. Obviously, I started at the bottom, worked my way up, and again, just showing the rookies, the younger guys, you're not going to start at the top. It's a grind, you know what I'm saying? Just learn everything you can from everyone else, all the guys in front of you, and ultimately, when you get your opportunity, just be ready.
Is there a different mentality because you're in a different position now when you come into the
I wouldn't say it's a different mentality. I go out there, straining to be the best player that I can be every day. Go out there and try to make a play just like I would at any other point in my career so far. But I just say again, just becoming that leader though. I can't just be worried about myself. It's about, again, just bringing everybody along with me. Coach is trying to implement something here, changing the culture, changing the environment. It can't just be myself. It can't just be the guys on the field. It's about bringing everybody along, whether it's a player, a coach, or anybody in this organization.
I know CJ did a lot for you when you came in. So who was some of the other players that did that for you when you came in to the Jets?
Well, I could just say, for me, changing my position from safety to linebacker. Every linebacker that we had in the room, whether it was a rookie with me or it was a vet, like you said, I say again, Quincy Williams. Just when he came to our team, he was a guy that was unheard of. And his first game, I'm pretty sure it was versus the Patriots. He just came in hitting people left and right, following up with like a Titans game. He laid a good hit on Derrick Henry. It just opened everybody's eyes and people feel like he's undersized, but like just the way he approaches the game, just the way he plays the game, it's inspiring. And also Quan Alexander, he took a guy like myself, Hamza Nasruddin, under his wing when he was here. He taught us how to work our hands and how to get on and off of blocks. And again, everybody that's just been in that room with myself, even my old coach, he just took the time to actually teach us and help us learn to become better players.
Is there any part of the game that you think you still see as a safety?
No, but I'll say like being a old safety, you can recognize routes a little bit better. I feel like if I was still a safety, I would play those routes better, but now I'm trying to learn them as a linebacker, get in the windows better. Because, like as you're a linebacker, you're up closer. When you're back there, you can see the whole field. So now it's about just using my vision, turning and looking both ways to look up routes and get in those windows.
From a statistical standpoint, the Jets defense has finished 5th the last 3 years. So what is the next level and step for this defense?
Obviously, you always want to improve and be better than you were last year. So I feel like the next step for us is just to be better than we were last year. But, this is a different group. It's a different coach. It's a different scheme. So it's all about just taking what we do out here and just bringing it to the game on Sunday.
What do you think about the scheme and what do you like about it? Things like that.
Personally, I love it for myself. I feel like for Quincy and I and all the other linebackers, we get a chance to really showcase who we are. We get a chance to, blitz a little bit more, again, dropping back in coverage and, just more opportunities to make plays.
Jamien, you said you want to work on growing as a leader, here at training camp. Is that something that just comes naturally to you? Because I think a lot of guys might be focusing on themselves and working on their role. Why is it that you want to be a leader on this team?
I've always felt like I could be the leader or be a leader. I just had to learn to speak out more. I used to be a little introverted, not talk to many people, and that was a point of growing. And again, like when I was a rookie, I had to learn a whole different position. I had to learn a whole new approach to the game. Instead of taking 3 steps back, now I'm taking 2 steps to the side, left and right, and stuff like that. So when I was younger in this league, I had other stuff to learn and worry about, I felt like. But I always felt like deep down inside, I was a leader. I always felt like I had a voice. I have great relationships with my teammates, so I always felt like people would listen to what I said. And now, ultimately, it's just that time to show it.
Was there a moment or a person who encouraged you that you changed and you found your voice here with this team?
Well, obviously, sadly, when CJ went down, obviously I had to step up into a role. And my coach last year, he always used to say, like, now it's my time to show who I am. Personally, I didn't think that CJ was going to be down that long. I always wanted him to come back every week. But, like those first 5 weeks, I was just playing football. And then ultimately, there was one game where we were down big, I think versus Arizona, and, I spoke up in the locker room. And then from that point on, I just felt like that was my time to, like, actually just keeping that leadership role.
Why has your new head coach been able to get the buy-in that he has from the players?
Say that again?
Why has your new head coach, AG, been able to get the buy-in from all the players the way he has?
I feel like in the offseason, they do a deep dive of the type of players that they want in the building with them. Obviously, when you get new coaches, they want to bring in the players that they want. So I feel like they just did a good job of recruiting the type of people that they want, people who they think that will listen and will buy in. And again, that's also a job that I take upon my shoulder, is to help these other guys buy in as well. The guys that's been here, guys like myself, Quincy, and stuff like that, Sauce, Garrett, just the type of players that they are is going to want other people to buy in just like them. What they've been able to accomplish this offseason, Sauce and Garrett getting their extensions, Quincy and Quentin being all-pro players is going to help. It's going to show young guys, like, this is what it takes to be here. And with coaches like that, young guys are going to want to play harder for them.
What stood out to you about the rookie Kiko, your position?
I feel like, he's just a natural-born linebacker. I feel like he has leader tendencies as well. OTAs, he was out there. He made a lot of plays. And I just feel like he's a good learner as well, As a rookie, it took me some time to learn some things and stuff like that, but it feels like he's getting it first day. It's like second-hand nature to him. Excited to see him this season.
Speaking of becoming second nature, your position obviously involves a lot of instincts and you got to trigger fast. Is this defense starting to become second nature for you? Where are you as far as thinking compared to reacting with the new scheme?
With the new scheme, I did a lot of studying this offseason, just learning, memorizing. My thing is to learn everybody's position so I know where to position myself on the field. I can play faster when I know where my help is and stuff like that. So for me, it's just, again, like I study so hard that when the offense breaks the huddle, I'm already anticipating what they can do, and I just take that to the defense as well. So within the scheme and learning their offense is just going to help me do what I have to do.